The US must also grapple with the fact that Israel, its partner in this war, is in no mood to end it.
It's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium that has to be taken out of Iran.
I can't point and tell you it'll take 3 months or 3 years.
39 were killed in Israeli strikes yesterday. Israel is bombing Lebanon every day. Both wars are popular inside Israel.
On security matters, it's no big secret I'm tougher than Netanyahu himself on security. Iran was in the process of creating a shield which would prevent any future attack. The shield was by moving nuclear material underground and by producing such a big amount of ballistic missiles that it would deem Iran unattackable.
But we had, guarantees from President Trump, this will be all over in 2 to 3 weeks. Then it was 6 weeks. Now you're talking a few years to effect any kind of regime change.
Do not hold your breath if you're under the impression that Israel's elections will replace a treacherous war criminal like Benjamin Netanyahu, of course, with a new peace-loving prime minister, because as you just heard, Naftali Bennett, who happens to be Netanyahu's opposition, who happens to be, according to the polls, the front runner in the election, has really shown himself to be even more hawkish than Netanyahu. Now, you might not believe me, so we're gonna show you the receipts. Because he's insanely delusional about the war in Iran to boot, and we should be aware of what the real problem actually is with Israel. It's not that we have one prime minister who's awful, and if we just get rid of that prime minister, everything's gonna be great. No, actually quite the opposite. The problem runs much deeper than that. And so Bennett was asked how he differs from Benjamin Netanyahu. Great question by Piers Morgan. And the answer didn't make him appealing for those concerned with things like, ending wars. Take a look.
How would you be different to Netanyahu?
I would unite. I would unite Israel from within. I would respect all citizens, whether they voted for me or didn't vote for me, whether they're Jewish or Arab. And I would, be open to the world. Obviously, on security matters, it's no big secret I'm tougher than Netanyahu himself on security. But in terms of running a country, you'll see a competent leadership, a clean leadership, one that focuses on just building better lives for its people and not on the rest of the politics that's going on there.
So that messaging is really important to pay close attention to. How are you different from Benjamin Netanyahu? I would do wonderful things for the people of Israel. I would find a way to unite the country. But on security matters, meaning questions of war and peace, right? Oh, I'm gonna be harsher than Netanyahu. Oh, great. By the way, Naftali Bennett is one of the people going around right now warning us that the next big threat is Turkey. Yeah. So with that in mind, it's important to note that Bennett would not be satisfied with Trump sending our troops into Iran to risk their lives by attempting to retrieve the enriched uranium. He also wants to dismantle the nuclear weapons program that Iran doesn't even have. This is all stuff he said in the interview with Piers Morgan. He wants to cap Iran's ballistic missile production. No. Why? So that they don't have the capacity to defend themselves? No. Okay. And he also wants regime change, of course, because that's what they've always wanted from the very beginning. They're not worried about the nuclear weapons. They're not worried about the enriched uranium. They're not worried about the ballistic missiles. Israel is a nuclear power. They're not worried about the fate of their country or whether they're going to exist. They exist. They will continue to exist. They have a freaking nuclear program. They have nuclear weapons. They're going to exist, regardless of what anyone might think about that. They exist, they will continue to exist. The real question is, will the United States continue aiding and abetting their war crimes? And will we continue invading countries and going to war on their behalf? That's the real question. And based on what I'm hearing from Naftali Bennett, he's more of the same. We also heard Netanyahu's decades-long fear-mongering about Iran and how they could use nukes to attack Israel or the United States. But Bennett is about to fearmonger about Iran's defensive capabilities. I'm not kidding. Defensive capabilities. What I appreciate about Bennett is how candid he was, particularly in this portion of the interview. Take a listen.
Given where we are with this war, nearly 10 weeks in, I mean, are you optimistic about the way it's going? Do you feel good about this?
Well, I think it was necessary, and I want to explain why. The alternative was to not act, and Iran was in the process of creating a shield which would prevent any future attack. The shield was by moving nuclear material underground and by producing such a big amount of ballistic missiles that it would deem Iran unattackable. And once it would reach that zone of immunity, then it would race forward towards a nuclear weapon. We had to act before we'd lose the ability to act, and that's what we did. Wars are bad. By no means do I want to give an impression that this is great and we love it. No, wars are bad, and it's best to end wars. But there's just one thing worse, is having a nuclear Iran conducting the same actions, and then we lose all leverage. If they continue producing new uranium, it's worthless. If they go out and build 30,000 ballistic missiles, and then 5 years from now they're unattackable, unassailable, that's also very bad.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? We had to attack Iran before they were unattackable. That's what he said. So rather than, going along with Netanyahu's preferred propaganda tactic of fear-mongering about how any day now, Iran's gonna launch a nuclear weapon and kill all you Americans any day now, any day now. Rather than doing that, Naftali Bennett is like, well, obviously we needed to attack immediately, because if we didn't, Iran would have built up their defense capabilities and they would be unattackable. And what use would Israel be if they weren't attacking other countries? Thank you for your honesty, Naftali Bennett. I appreciate it. Because this was the reasoning from the jump. The second Iran has a nuclear weapon, which they weren't even working toward, but the second they have a nuclear weapon, much like North Korea or Pakistan, you're gonna think twice before launching a war against them. And Israel hates that, hates the idea of a country that's unattackable, right? Unbelievable, man, unbelievable. He's also delusionally under the impression that the entire globe thinks of Israel. What the entire globe thinks of Israel is actually what the globe thinks of Iran. So that might be informing his decision to disclose how long he thinks this war is gonna last. So pay close attention to this next clip.
Now it had several thousand. Imagine it had 30,000 ballistic missiles, including intercontinental ones. This regime, peers, I believe, will not survive in the long haul. Now, I can't point and tell you it'll take 3 months or 3 years, but it's such a rotten, corrupt, incompetent regime, despised by its own people, old, and this whole structure is going to collapse. And what we can do, even if it doesn't happen right now, throughout the next few years, not unlike the Soviet Union of the late 80s, we can encourage that collapse.
But we had, guarantees from President Trump, this will be all over in 2 to 3 weeks. Then it was 6 weeks. Now you're talking a few years to effect any kind of regime change.
These people are not our allies. They take and take, they destroy, they kill, they slaughter, they expand their border. What have they done for us? What have they done for us that is positive? 3 years? It could be 3 months, it could be 3 years. They don't give a damn about anyone's life. They don't care that people are being crushed economically just so they can expand their borders. They don't care that innocent people are getting slaughtered. They don't care that children are being killed. They don't care that entire families, entire bloodlines are being completely wiped out. They do it. They carry it out, and they don't value human lives unless those human lives are spewing Zionist propaganda. Because let's not make a mistake and think that these people even give a damn about Jewish people. Because if you're a Jew who is willing to speak out against Zionism, if you disagree with the political ideology of Zionism, you're no good to them. This whole project isn't about protecting Jewish people or Judaism. This whole project is about power, about empire, about land grabs. That's what this is about. 3 years? What would happen to the global economy if this war went on for 3 months? Who knows? Who cares? Let's keep pretending like we're worried about enriched uranium and continue this war, because what we really want is to destroy Iran. This is why I have such disdain for the Iranian diaspora that cheerled this war. Why I have deep disdain for people like Reza Pahlavi, who had the freaking audacity to think that he is deserving of any leadership position in a country he hasn't stepped foot in 47 freaking years. No, Netanyahu isn't the one and only issue with Israel. It's societal rot that makes these people think they are entitled to slaughtering as many people as they want, dragging foreign countries into wars on their behalf, just destroying people's lives and livelihoods and economic, well-being. For them, their project is the most important project in the world. Unbelievable, man. That's the front runner to replace Netanyahu.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.